Hi, it's Ryan from Ryan Fowler Photography, and in this video, Colin from the Canon Collective in Brisbane is going to be showing you how to create VR 360 panoramas inside of Lightroom and Photoshop and how to upload them. Thank you to Colin for creating this video tutorial for us and for the Canon Collective community. It is a very good video that walks you through all the steps on how to do what you need to do and what you need to know to create these VR 360s. So if you want to check out more about the Canon Collective, click the link in the description down below and you'll be taken across to the Facebook group where you can join. So let's get into the video.
Hello and welcome to this video. It's about VR 360s. A few people have been asking on the stitch process and how to put them together. So my name's Colin, I'm one of the Queensland ambassadors, and I'm just going to go through a quick video today to show you how to do a VR 360. So for those who have attended the workshop so far, you would have gone through the process of creating a series of images. You'll see here I've done some on top of the Story Bridge, and what we need to do is make sure that we get around an entire circle to create a 360 degree panorama. A couple of quick key points: try and use a tripod where available. You'll get more vertical stitch out of it that way because of overlap of the clamshell, which I'll show you shortly. You also need to make sure your exposure is set to manual. You need each of the frames to be identical in terms of shutter speed, aperture and ISO. And thirdly, make sure you turn off features such as auto lighting optimizer and lock down your white balance to a known setting. So daylight, fluorescent, custom, they're all good. Just don't have it in auto white balance because it will affect your stitch. So what we need to do is we need to go up to a location, burn around in a circle reasonably quick, and get ourselves a series of images. So if I select my images here, which is 10 in total, and I right click on them, I'm able to go into Photo Merge Panorama in Lightroom here. Now this is Creative Cloud, latest version. If your Lightroom looks a little bit different to this, this sort of demonstration is done in Creative Cloud, and you may find ways around it, but I'll show you how it's done here. Now you notice I handheld this. This is the top of the Story Bridge. You certainly can't take a tripod up there. So you'll see some little clamshell action here. But the cool thing about the Lightroom Creative Cloud is you've got boundary warp. So you can lift this slider all the way to the right. And what it does is it essentially transforms all of the edges for you. Once you've got that image the way you like it, you've got to hit merge. As they say in good cooking shows, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is the series of 10 images merged together as one panorama. At this point you can go into develop and have a play around with your saturation, shadows, highlights, do whatever you want to do to make it look pretty. Once we're at this point though, we need to hit Control E if you're on Windows or Command E if you're on Mac. And what will happen is it will take a copy of that file in its entirety across to Photoshop, which is where we're going to do a little bit more work to our file to make it a VR 360. So at this point here, up until this point, sorry, if you've done one of the Extreme Pano workshops or Global Pano workshops, the process has been exactly the same up until this point. What you do need to know though is after this point, the edit is a little bit different. So let me start with my notepad. The first thing you need to know about Facebook VR 360s is it will only accept a file that has a resolution of 6000 by 3000 pixels. It won't accept anything but that. So what we need to do is we need to go firstly to our image size when we're in Lightroom, in Photoshop. And you'll notice here that this little chain link is clicked. There are a couple of methods for processing this. I'm going to show you two quick ones. Firstly, we can go straight to 6000 by 3000 by unchecking that link and hitting enter. And what will happen is you will stretch your canvas vertically slightly, so everyone will look a little bit taller and skinnier. And it does distort the perspective slightly, but it is a very quick way of getting the file ready. Now at this point here, I'm going to save that as a JPEG file, not a TIFF file. I'm just going to pop it on the desktop so I know where it is, and I'm just going to call that my stretch pano. Enter. Obviously save it as a quality of 12. Now let's step backwards and look at another way of doing it. So here's my original pano. If I now go into image size and I make sure that chain link is ticked, I have the opportunity here to put in 6000 and you'll see automatically the height is adjusted for me. Hit OK. Problem is, as I said, it needs to be 3000 high. So we go back into image again, but to canvas size this time. inspect how many pixels we have, change our height to 3000 pixels. Now you'll notice in my image of the story bridge here, from the top of the story bridge, sorry, I have an area of commonality at the top, which is the sky. So I'm going to ask the image to be placed to the bottom of the frame by clicking that down arrow and hitting OK. This gives me all of my negative space to the top of the image. Now if I use my marquee tool, which is the M hotkey if you didn't know, I can now marquee as much of that sky as possible. Control T for Windows, Command T for Mac. I can now transform that sky and pull it right out to the edge of frame. By doing that, I've maintained perspective of the people and the buildings, and I've transformed the sky to fill out my complete frame. Now again, I'm going to go to Save As. Again, I'm going to use a JPEG, and I'm going to pop it on my desktop. And this one's just going to be called Transform VR. And again, saved at 12. Okay, let's close a few things here. Move that out of the way. We don't need Lightroom again at the moment. And we've got our notes there. The next thing we need to do is we need to go to a website which is called the EXIF.net, which is this piece of software just here. Now, we have the opportunity here, if I were to drag and drop off the desktop into this box, I can also click here and bring in my files. So my stretch pano and my transformed VR file. You'll notice as they upload, there will just be a cancel upload option. Don't need that one anymore, that was from earlier. But as soon as it reaches full, it will come up with Exify Me. So if we click on that blue box, this basically hacks the JPEG file, and it shows me all the information about that file, but what we need to do is we need to tell Facebook it was shot on a VR 360 camera, of which our Ricoh Make one caller Theta. So if we go into Make Ricoh and into Model Theta S, we're able to trick the system and pop this blue box down the bottom, go Exifying. We'll return to the top, giving you a green box to say that it was successful. You'd close the editor, download the file. The same thing goes for the second file. I'm going to go back into EXIF Me. I'm going to change it from a Canon 1DX Mark II to a Ricoh Theta S, and THETA-S, Model S, go Exifying. Again, return to the top green box, it's been successfully modified, and download that file. Now, if I were to close a few of these things down for a moment, the last step is to jump onto Facebook. And you'll see I've got my transformed downloaded file here. As I drag and drop it into Facebook, I'll do that again. Or I use the photo upload option. You'll notice that the first thing it says is say something about this VR 360, and the little icon for a VR 360 appears in the middle. I'm just going to post this one to me only. And it's just uploading that file at the moment. You'll notice there's a little paintbrush here to edit the 360 settings. All this allows you to do is set the start point of your image. You may have an area that is more aesthetically delighting than, say, just the sky. So I'm going to start it over here, looking back over to the city. Hit save, and I can just say, I'll say testing 1, 2, 3 here, and post. And what you'll notice now is we have taken a file out of, or a series of files, out of Lightroom. We've combined them into an Extreme Pano, just as per the Extreme Pano workshop. We've dropped them across into Photoshop and made our canvas a total size of 6,000 by 3,000 pixels. If you'd like to stretch it or not, or if you'd like to transform it or not, doesn't matter how you fill out those 6,000 by 3,000 pixels. As long as you meet that resolution, it will work. You then save that as a JPEG, pop it into the Exify.net, change the model of camera to a Ricoh S, COHTHETA-S, and save the file back to your desktop, and then upload to Facebook. Sorry, pushing too many buttons there. Upload to Facebook, and here we have our VR 360. So if I click on that, let's close Nick's software out of the way there for a second, sorry. Go back in there. I can now go full screen and move my mouse around, and thus we have a VR 360 of the Brisbane city skyline, looking down over the Story Bridge. And as you can see, where I transform the sky, it will meet a pinnacle point, but it all looks very natural. And that is VR 360s.
I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful for creating your own VR 360 panos. Thank you again to Colin for creating the tutorial for us, and make sure you hit that like button, leave me a comment down below, and press that subscribe button to see more videos like this one and so much more. I'll see you in the next video.